All right, give me about 7 minutes or so, roughly, and I'm going to give you a tip on how to avoid the net. The net is one of the greatest sources of the errors that you're making when you play pickleball. In this video, I'm going to show you a technique called the clock that'll really help you understand how to avoid that net when you're out there playing pickleball. We got several questions after our last video. We talked about the net and how many errors are coming from the net in your game. And people were like, yeah, I get it. I got to avoid the net. So what should I do? The clock is a really good technique for that. I'm going to explain that to you in this video. Before I do, I got this word up here, Summit. Make sure you signed up for our Summit. It's free. It's starting on Sunday. It's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You don't have to come to all of it. You can come to some of it, none of it, one of it, whatever you want. It's put together for you. CJ and I put it together. WeArePickleball with several pickleball presenters who gave their time to put this together. When you register, you get a free playbook. So definitely check that out. All right, let's talk about the net, right? The net is such a source of errors that it's amazing how many rallies end in the net, all right? And what you got to remember is, so the net, the height of the net, right, creates it's sort of like this magical field, right, or this plane, I guess I should say, over the court. And most of the balls that we hit are actually underneath ground strokes. We're talking about, right, dinks, things like that. Most of them are underneath this level of the net, right, because the wiffle ball don't bounce that much, right? So it's not like other sports like tennis, something like that, where the ball will bounce up a lot of times. In pickleball, the ball, no matter how high it's hit, usually doesn't bounce up above the level of the net. It's really hard to get a ball to bounce and come above the level of the net. And what ends up happening is, if you don't understand where to make contact with the ball, you end up hitting a lot of balls into the net, and that is a source of a lot of errors. So, as the players want to know, what to do about it? Well, let's use this technique called the clock. And I have a paddle and a ball here, and I'll show it to you in a second as well. But let me draw it out for you. So imagine a pickleball being a clock. There's an analog clock, folks. So some of you may not be old enough to, or maybe too young, I should say, to know these analog clocks. But basically, this is 12 o'clock, right? This is 6 o'clock. And if I have it correctly, this is 3 and this is 9. All right? So what we want to do when we're playing pickleball is, when the balls are underneath the net, like in this drawing up here, is we do not want to hit the ball at 3 or at 9. And this is very, very common. It's very common for players to go out on the pickleball court, and what they'll do is they'll just basically hit these balls at 3 or at 9. What that means is, if I take this ball out here, that's 3, that's 9, right? So what happens is, you're making contact with the ball here, here, or here, depending on what side of the net, and whether you're hitting forehand and backhand, things like that. So you're hitting the ball at 3 or at 9. What happens is, when I come at any of these balls, right, if I come at them from what's 3 o'clock on this drawing, right, 3 o'clock, what's going to happen? All these balls are going to end up going into the net. The ball simply has no choice, folks. If you hit the ball there, at that spot, and bring your paddle forward, what's going to happen is, you're either going to hit the net, or if you lift it some, right? Some players hit it there and then kind of lift it. Maybe you get enough loft, and maybe you don't. So there's a better technique, right? Instead of trying to hit it at 3 or at 9 and then hope that you can like lift it, give it enough friction to lift it, instead of doing that, consider coming at the ball here. Consider coming at the ball at 4:30 or 7:30. Okay, because remember, we still have to get under the ball. 6 is too much. We get under it at 6, that's going to be too drastic, right? So we want to be around here. So 4:30 or 7:30. It's going to be a good spot for us to put the paddle here or here, depending on what side of the net you're on. Here it's going to be 4:30 most likely. Now it can vary some. You could be like, you can be like at 4 or 5. Here you might be at 7 or at 8. That's fine. Somewhere in this range here. But what you're not going to do is, you're not going to be at 3. Look at that. Got a red marker and everything. What you're not going to be doing is, if the ball's underneath the net, you're not going to be hitting it here or here anymore, right? So basically, this part up here is not available to you when the ball's underneath the net, and you're going to really try and make sure you're getting that paddle underneath the ball before you hit it. So basically, that looks, going back to the paddle and the ball for a second, that basically looks like this. So this is 3 and 9. So 4:30 and 7:30 are down here, underneath, right? So if I get the paddle underneath that ball, right here or here, what'll happen is, I'll actually be able to lift that ball up and get it over the net. If you think about it, actually, Deb Harrison, who's one of the presenters at the summit, is going to be talking about how there's a hairpin dink. The hairpin dink looks like this, and it's unattackable. All right, so let's take these balls out of here. We're going to put one ball, and we're going to hit it into a hairpin dink. Ball, Hairpin Dink, looks like a hairpin, unattackable. The only way to hit that ball there, get under it. Put that paddle underneath there and get under it and lift that ball up and you'll hit it into the Hairpin Dink. So next time you're playing, what do you want to do? 4:30, 7:30, get under that ball. Make sure you're lifting that ball up, respect that net, get it over, and you'll improve your chances. Remember, you haven't registered for the summit, register for the summit. If you have any ideas for a video, have any questions, something like that, put it down in the comments, let us know. If you enjoyed the content, didn't enjoy the content, let us know below. Like it, unlike it, do whatever you like, interact with it, share it with your friends. If you liked it, remember, your parents probably will too. Subscribe, hit the link button. Let's do this thing, folks. Have fun out there.